So I did it again. So, hey guys, so we're coming at you with the final part of the video where we're going to be looking at the starter box for the Imperial Japanese in bolt action, and along with that with some models primed and laid out, and we're going to talk about the rules and stuff for them. So let us get right into this giant box here. We have the box here. It's so huge I had to take the camera off the tripod, so forgive me for some shakiness, but we have it right here. This one came to me directly from Warlord. It's kind of crunched a bit, but we have it open here. As you can see, kind of size here. Instead of telling you the list, they show you a list, which I kind of like. So we're going to open this up and we're going to take a look inside of what you get with this. Just as a heads up before I do switch over the camera to opening on the inside, I did build some models to get them prepped so you can see them, so they can be primed. So one of the sprues are going to be used, so I'm going to pull that to the side. Same with the weapon teams, and that I built already, just because I was really excited to build this and I was out and about with other hobbyists. So I kind of joined in. So they're pre-built, they come in a bag anyways, they're metal, so you'll see that. And the models I built I'll put to the side, and we'll talk about them when I prime them. But we'll see you guys when I get this open with magic. Ooh. And there we go. Magic. We're back at this again. As you can see, we have it open. So we're going to look and flip through here. So here we go. We're going to take a look here. The bag's on top to protect everything underneath. But starting off here in a part of the middle, we have our lieutenant with a sword. See, like I said, these guys came in a bag metal, so they're kind of already pre-built. Will be better once I prime them. But facial detail is pretty good on this one. Then we have our weapon team here. This is our MMG. I built one with plastic. And this guy doesn't have a head because I'm going to be using it as I'm going to put the naval landing head on him. And we have next our mortar team, which looks pretty sick. The metal weapon teams on these are really nice and pretty good. I like how this guy's kind of laying down and holding the the mortar. Again, fish. And getting into this, take this off. That's again just to protect things. We have data cards you're going to get for your vehicle. You're going to have transfer sheet. You're going to have your book how to build your tank with the sprues for said tank. Again, I went through this kind of already, so it's kind of pre-mixed. Edit that out. We have that could go away because that's also bits. Alright. Next we have, so you're gonna get this of bases, laying down bases. Then we have our sheet. It tells you about the infantry and stuff, how to build them. Again, the Naval Landing Force has the same sprues. And then we have, you're going to get 40 infantry in here, 48, not 48, like 43, something like that, infantry in here. So you get your sprues, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8 of these sprues. So we're going to quickly look at them. And they all again kind of have this base. So let us take, I'm going to put this to the side and we're going to take a look at those sprues. We're here and we're going to take a look at the sprue. So I just pulled one of these out so we can take a quick look at it. I did kind of quickly glimpse over it with the special naval landing force because all of their infantry kind of use this, plastic ones at least use this sprue. So we're going to take a look at it. So zooming in here, we have, starting at the bottom here, we have our infantry faces. There we go. Helmet and your officers. I'll try to zoom in on these guys better for you, as you can see there. And we have, looking further into this, zoom in, we have your officer sword unsheathed, and the guy holding the hilt for it. You got grenade, open hand, pointing hand, closed hand. You have your knee mortars, so if you want to make your grenadiers, both sides can make them. And then we have your slung weapon, your SMG, slash, I think, get your SMG, your type 99 or something like that. Your horn for your bugle collar, ground mounted LMG, which is cool because you can have it so they're carrying it, so it has the handle. You cut off the handle to make them holding it. Your webbing, which it seems like it's 2 pieces, so you take, if you have guys laying down or crouching, you can use the split ones and build it yourself. And we have the guy who looks like he got his legs blown off. Ball joints for the feet for your laying down guy. Then you have a dude kind of walking. Then you have your gear, more arms, your crouch dude, your running dude for your landmine on a stick, running shooting guy for your LMG, and with bayonet, more bayonets, your sword sheathed, charging dudes, more charging arms, and your pole, which if you cut this part off, you'll turn it into a landmine, the mine on a stick, by using where is it? This part right here. My thoughts for this part of the video ending here, look at the sprues before I really build anything. Nice models. Army is really sick. We're going to talk about the rules in a stream. I'm going to do some rule reviews with the codexes, I think, next stream as I build. And we're going to talk about our final thoughts on the army and the boxes and building the models and making the starter box, basically. We'll see you guys there. This is the Chiha Type 97. Looking at it here, we kind of have like the description of what it went through, how it got developed. Here we can see the data card plus transfers, and we have the different versions. And this tank is actually really well made, and we have the tank commander as usual. So we're gonna open this up and see what it is. Nothing else inside the box. So we have, again, how they've been doing these, the book with the information. We have the instructions, really well made instructions, plus the painting guide. Then we have, now we are, stuff. I'm gonna read the base. We have our 2 data cards, it looks like. So there's that. And it looks like these are 120 points or 100 or 110 lowest. And you can get a light howitzer or a medium anti-tank gun. And we have transfer sheets. There, we have transfer sheets right here. have the bag. So starting off here, we have our first sprue, which is pretty well designed and pretty well detailed. We have the hulls, the tops, and we have wheels, front plate, trucks, and this hull, and gears. And then next we have the rest. So we have all the hull pieces, the turrets, the hull itself, filters / exhausts. So just like most of their tanks, you can make both versions of this tank out of it. You will need a little bit of fan dangling with how you do the exhausts, and it does suffer again from the T-34 syndrome, where it has just only one thing to make the cupola. So you can technically make both turrets, and if you make it so the cupola doesn't glue in, like you don't glue it down, you can pop them in and out into the version you want to use. And with that, I will show you guys why this model is so cool and how you can convert it to make both. So we'll see you guys in that next part when I get back right here. Whoa. We're going to be looking at the Special Naval Landing Force units for bolt action. So looking at here, this is actually a pretty decent weighty box. It's mix of metal and plastic. The Japanese military stuff kind of suffers the same condition as Grey Knights from Warhammer, where, and I believe some French stuff when that comes out, where I'm trying to think if there's another army that does this too. I guess kind of Germans, like DAC in early war, but anyways. And Americans kind of have this too, but they all run off the same sprues no matter what infantry unit you buy until they start making new ones. We'll run off the Imperial Japanese Force sprues. This just comes with special metal heads, as you can... Oh, come on. As you can see here, we got the special heads. As you can see here, they have like the special heads and stuff. Their uniform was painted differently. Here we have what you get in the box, stuff like that, and paper stuff, and blurbs about their landing. So this is pretty cool. I'm actually kind of excited to work at these, though the pricing on them I am not too happy about. It's pretty expensive for these guys, and I believe you do get a metal commander dude to represent it. So if you wanted to play Special Navy Landing Force, it seems like whoever made the Japanese line, like not necessarily the molders, like the model makers themselves, but the person who packaged and laid out these kits, designed it so that people who maybe wanted a little taste of it, but like, you know, we're doing US Marines, but they couldn't get a starter box because stuff that was metal, they literally just said, nah fam, hold my beer, and they made starter boxes out of these kits. So this comes with a metal, from what I've seen at least. That's why it's 32 instead of, you know, 30 whatever. Anyways, we're gonna open this up. Ooh, metal. And pull. So we have our first thing that kind of sticks out to me. We have our sheet about, tells you kind of how to build, how they'd recommend to do it. List of stuff. If you have the Imperial Japanese sprue, you basically have it, but this kind of like shows you special stuff here. Yeah, as you can see here, kind of like stuff. Their color, they had kind of like an olive green, like the Americans had, like a forest green when they were the Navy. Then we have our rifle flags and our flags. And the nice thing is they kind of like label it. So that's cool. Your bases are going to come like this, because the actual kits themselves, the sprues, they're made like this basically. And so, but we'll get into the actual thing that's worth about this, and the one we'll dig deep into. It's this bag here. This is what you get for that extra like 20 bucks. And we're just gonna pour it out. ET or GT 60? Oh. So Voss did return. Anyways, let us zoom in here. Here we have, so these are their heads that they have. So here we go, we have some of their heads. So they have the special helmets with the insignias. It's like the metal itself is trying to hide its face. What the hell? Anyways, so we got a bunch of these. So the idea is you should be able to put one of these helmets on basically every model. So you can use the helmets from the box and from here. And there is quite a bit of difference to the heads. There's about three different ones that they put multiples in. So, you know, you can easily blend them so they don't look the same. Got a head here. More heads. The guys with the forget what that's called. It's like the handkerchief on their head. I forget what it's called. Bandana. And we have our, like I said, our two units. So we have like our captain and our two lieutenants for the Navy Force. Our special things, so these guys, it looks like they have like things on their back. I don't know if those are snorkels or gas masks or bungee cord, but yeah, so they have like their fancy water bottles. It looks like a rebreather, like oxygen tank thing on their bags, so they all kind of have one. I don't think you have enough to build all your dudes with them, but you do get enough. You might, yeah, I think you do. I think, yeah, you get enough to build squads at least of these. And yeah, I think you do, actually, yeah, you do get enough to build all of them in there. So as you can see, it is for all eras. Japan is one of the few armies in the game where you can almost say it's kind of like the demons from Warhammer, where it can be played in basically any game that they make. The Japanese are kind of like that. They're suitable for all eras, from World War, from like even late World War I, if you want to do some weird history stuff, or all the way through up to Korea. But basically for the games that we play, like World War II and just a little bit after, this box will fit any of them. So going from that, we're going to start with what you get originally in this box, which is right here. So these are all the models that you can make out of this box. For those who may not know how to build your models, there's kind of two ways to do this. Do you want to do grenadiers, or do you want to do non-grenadiers? How I built it was I went the non-grenadier way, but halfway through building this, I finally got my codex in, or my army book, and I learned the weapon option choices. So I'm going to tell you guys now so you don't go through the same pain that I did. So how I would run these guys for an overall just generic list throughout the entire, to play any scenario, is you start with 6 models base. That's their smallest per unit is 6 dudes. I think their highest is about 12, 13 guys that you can put in there. So take that into consideration. With the Japanese, especially if you like running large units, I usually like running 7-man squads, 8-man, because that extra do acts as the loader. I like to play with LMGs. So these guys, be prepared for that. Maybe getting an extra sprue if they sell them of dudes, and getting some bases or printing out some bases, and just having that extra sprue just be rifles. is going to be good for you. Or, as I've done, I've bought some 3D models of infantry and I printed them out. So yeah. So the loadouts that we have here, if I zoom in for you guys, there we go. Ooh. So how I have this unit loadout, they're all basically the same as we have our 1, 2, 3. Normally it'd be, you have your 3 or 4, like 3 to 5 rifles. Your NCOs are the only ones that get SMGs in the regular Imperial Army, so be aware of that. The rifle or NCO with sword. So if you want to make, you can make him as an NCO with rifle. You could do that. Here's one of the 3D printed models. Though now that I've seen how they look based printed, I'm gonna probably go in and, you know, probably shrink it by a couple of millimeters, by 3 millimeters. We have our knee mortar, and we have our LMG, which you could also replace with a rifle if you don't want both. I'd probably, if you're gonna have the mortar, remove the LMG. If you're not gonna have the mortar, remove the add the LMG. The nice thing about this is it's a game. You're gonna just say they're rifles and ignore the mortar. But the reason why you want to build at least, I'd recommend 3 or 6 mortars, is because the Japanese get this cool unique unit called the a mortar squad, and they get 3 of those per unit. They're basically like a squad of light mortars, whereas the Italians get squads of flamethrowers, the Japanese get squads of mortars. So keep that in mind. That's how you can build the other one. So it's going to be your LMG, this guy, and your SMG basically would all be mortar dudes, and the rest of these guys would be rifles, along with your NCO, because that's how I'd build it. You could give the NCO an SMG, but that's how I do it. And then basically following that route, if you do my original way of doing it, you get about 1, 2, 3, 4. You get about 5 units, which is great because Japanese are definitely a horde-based army more than Russians. Russians is like guardsmen in the sense that they are a horde army, yes, but you can definitely successfully do a armored horde army. Like, they're an elite horde army of the game, whereas the Japanese are more of a true horde army where you're running bodies over armor. Which, to really emphasize that, they get the fanatic keyword and the death before dishonor rules. So basically you're just running, you're not caring about pins, you're just making it charges, having fun shouting bonsai. And even to fit that, which we look back here, is, as you can see on the right here, you have your anti-tank weapons teams is lunge mines. The lunge mine is basically, think like your typical anti-tank landmine, but on a really long bamboo stick. And because really the Japanese didn't have much in the way of anti-tank at a time, and just their zealot fanaticism, they basically did this. Now, for the most part, it was considered to be suicidal, just because, you know, you're running at a metal monster with a giant stick that's got a very spicy end to it. Though how they were made, and depending on how large the pole was and, you know, advanced these guys were, they were hiding in bushes, charging the side of the tank, going for the treads. The tread would snap the stick, and the mine would go off. The guy would be pretty far away, though definitely a high mortality rate, because, you know, shrapnel. But for the most part, in theory, you could survive a few of them. Few uses of those sticks. Like, again, these sticks were really long, like a 10 feet pole sort of situation here. But anyways, you get, for every one of these guys you buy in your unit, and in this box you'll get enough to make them. You can get 3 dudes. Basically, you buy one, it's only a single dude, but it's just like the anti-tank teams of Russia. You can take 2 extra dudes, so 3 units of these guys. So they count as 3 units. So you get 3 activation dice for this. But they run around as a squad, basically. So for one anti-tank spot, you get 3 of those guys. Then here we go, we have our Chiha and Chinu, or however you say it. These are the tanks. As you can see, there's the one bottom here, and then the one top here. So we're gonna kind of look at that right now. So as you can see, this top here was designed, they say it was more for island defense, so homeland defense. Should have probably used it, but you know, you can't see in war, fog of war and stuff. But this definitely is the tank I would, if you don't care about historical accuracy, and especially you're playing Japanese, with armored Japanese, I wouldn't put it past you if you wanted to. This is the way I would build it. Don't build the other one, build this. This is going to be your only real chance to take out armored. Now, if say you're doing a Pacific historically accurate game, you probably want to pop this off, which I will bring that up here. Jump cut. Here we go, guys. So we're back here. So as you can see, I have this part here removed. That's because they do a really cool thing on how they do the hull. And they actually brought this into the new Panzer, the Panzer IV that I'm going to review here later on too, where it's almost like Lego how this sticks. So I'm doing this one-handed, so please forgive me if anything breaks. But basically, as you can see there, it just kind of, you know, just kind of holes. But normally you'd have on the bottom here little pegs, and it would friction fit. You wouldn't actually have to glue them down. Anyways, so that's how it would be pegs. But how I have it is I chop them off, because even if you just chop them off, they friction fit. So I can do both versions, and they give you all the pieces to do it. The only thing that they don't give you, and it's just like the Churchill, is they don't give you the cupola and the antennas to go on top. Same with the machine gun on the back of the turret. Again, if you don't care about fine details and looks, you can, I'll just leave it on. You can ignore it, but just using paper clips is fine. You can just get away with that, the old paper clip trip. But yeah, so that's their tank. And then along with the actual starter box, you get, of course, you have enough dudes to make your, come on, focus. Your lieutenant plus his second man, your flagpole, an NCO with a horn. On the box it shows only one of them, so I only made one of them. And then some extra dudes, which I made into medics. So medics are going to be great for this box if you want to run Horde, which it wants you to. I would highly recommend getting this box, probably picking up another Chinu, like another tank, or the weapon team box. Now, but anyways, getting back into this, I've already rambled enough. My camera is getting warm. So getting into here, as you guys can see, we have our 2 weapon teams. So these are what come with it. So we have our LMG squad here, which I used a body from the box set to, boop, there he is, to make a third man there. There's a dude there that's supposed to have binoculars kind of pointing and stuff. I used him actually a spotter for my army, for the mortar. So that's why he's not there. He's laying down somewhere in the box, blended in with my Serbians. And then in the back here, as you can see, we have our mortar, medium mortar, which I really like this medium mortar crew setup. It's very dynamic. It's mid-action, like a round just went off. You have the dude kind of holding on to the frame, so he gives you support, especially when you're gluing. The hands might be a little bit too big, a little bit too small for you. It is metal. They're bent ways. It didn't fully fit around the tube, but it did fully fit around the arm that holds up the tube. Then you have the guy holding his ears back after dropping the round, and then you have the dude loading the round. And that's basically all you get from the default box. So that's it for the starter box section of this review video. Is it worth it? I'd say yeah, it's pretty good. It's you get a good amount of infantry, you get a tank, it's all plastic except for those 2 weapon teams. I really love their sprue. I love the little details on it, like the swords and the guns, the ease of switching hands out for stuff. Besides being prone bodies, the prone bodies were the only issue I had with these, not just because they were prone, but if we go with zoom here and zoom. Come on. So as you can see, oh, here we go. 3, 2, 1. So as you can see here, the reason why I have issues with these prone bodies is these legs in the back are separate, and you can kind of see it, and you have to glue them in. Though it does give you some posability on like how to like have them up, down, and all around. They don't really tell you unless you really look at the sheet what the left and right leg, but they're pain to clean. They're very tiny. My thumbs and fingers started hurting trying to hold them, trying to clean them off. They wouldn't stick really with plastic glue. I had to use super glue. They sucked. I like the other armies laying down poses better. They're either a single piece for the body with the legs already on, or like the Italians or the Germans. I think it's Germans. No, it's it was in the British 2-player starter box. Is either the British or the Germans or both even, but their second leg is either a straight leg or a bent leg, and it just slots in like a little socket, like a Lego piece basically. It just like slides in and you glue it. Takes plastic glue really nice. That leg style I would have preferred over this one, but it is what it is. That was my only really problem with this sprue, is that the other one is, especially if somebody who doesn't really know the history behind these guys, or if you don't have the army book quite yet and you're just getting the starter box to try it, because you know the game is very easy. It's everything's the same. A rifleman unit is a rifleman unit in any unit or in any army sort of thing. It has that issue, but I would rather they only give you one LMG. Maybe made arms to help represent that the NCO has the SMG, but besides that, they don't give you like 2 SMGs on a sprue. They give you stuff like that. Maybe should have made the lunge mines separate, but who knows? It's good. Besides that, the sprue is really nice. No real issues with it. Cleanup was, you know, very clean and easy compared to others. It's still there. You still have to clean, but it was nice. Which leads into our second side here, which is the review of the SNLF box. So the SNLF is the Special Navy Landing Force. This is basically their Marines. Now, I do have more than what you see here. These are just kind of a layout because it's more of a review of the box. This is straight out of the 32 models out of this infantry box. And that's because the idea is, unlike a starter box normally you get, like we have from the Japanese here, they're a sub-faction of the army. So they make, basically they're like, if you already have the IGA, you just buy this box and you have a second platoon ready to go. And I really like that. It does use the same sprues as the Japanese normal army box. So if you wanted to only build maybe 2 or 3 infantry units of SNLF to have on the side, then you could build all the rest just to be extra rifles. And I did do that with some of them. I did build them just as extra rifles for my Imperial army, because I want the not so much the like naval landing of Japan, but I wanted my forces to be the you know, the typical Imperial forces where they're on the island and they've, you know, built defenses on it, and now they're just out like manning the outposts. And that's what my army is. These guys are for if, say, I wanted to try some amphibious landing and basically just get some SMG squads. Again, this army is more for just funsies, for fitting a particular theater. I'm not trying to be super historically accurate with it. So we're going to look at some of the more specific items that come with this box. So let's get right into that. Oop. So starting off here, we have one of your NCOs that you get. Oop. So here's one of them. Ooh. Come on. Here's one of them. I gave him a plastic arm. I don't know if he's supposed to have another metal arm, but I just gave him a plastic arm from the box set. So we have one dude, he has this little, you know, navy hat on and his handgun. And then using the bottom here, these are just chunks of foam that I had. And using super glue in the primer, it was theoretically supposed to melt it a bit, so it gave it more of a natural rock look. But for some dumb reason, but a good reason for depending on who you are, the primers actually didn't melt them, which is weird. I think primers are getting away from stuff that melts foam. But anyways, and second off, we have here's the actual lieutenant himself, running with his forces with the sword out. Again, these two models are metal. Then we have our, you know, non-official mandatory flag bearer. Now, to make this guy into a lunge mine, because this is how you build the lunge mines, is you build this body first. But this little nub at the top here, at the in the middle of the screen, you cut that off, and that's where the lunge mine glues onto. Then we have our squads. So these guys are going to be your more advanced dudes, so I wouldn't run the more than 10 guys at max. But you get, how I've built them is your 2 LMGs, or your 2 SMGs, and all rifles. And then if you're doing 10, you run an LMG, because you only get 1 LMG. And then, and again, if you're doing 10, a mortar. Now, the Japanese have a special rule, depending on how you do it, and this is why I said it depends on if you want to run grenadiers or if you don't. Both sides get grenadiers, so you don't have to worry about mixing, matching, and like, oh, I chose the Navy force, so I don't get it. All sides of the Japanese army gets these. So the mortar squads are, if you do choose them, to have at least 1 squad in your army, you cannot take mortars as a unit upgrade for the rest of your infantry. You can only take grenadiers, which can be good because that's your light mortars. So having it as a side thing can be good. Or if you don't want to take grenadiers, then each unit can take 1 light mortar as a upgrade to that unit. So I've built my army to basically be that, but for how many of the light mortars I've built, I can basically run grenadiers out of my forces. Nothing really changed as far as I'm aware for the uniform. For being a grenadier, I think it's just your loadout. But anyways, so look at these guys. These are interesting. I couldn't find them. I can speak, I swear. I couldn't figure out anywhere about this, so if anybody has any information about this, I tried finding the webbing to find out what the fuck this is. This sort of like, tube on the back. If I can zoom in here. Yeah, there you go, that tube right in the middle on his back. I'm thinking this is supposed to be string or rope, but it's like he's got like this little air breather on his back, plus the gear. So this is all metal. You get metal heads to signify the difference because the Navy had their own helmets. But besides that, you build them basically the same as you would for your normal forces. And if that wasn't enough to show you, or you wanted to say build your starter box as these guys, the backpacks are the only difference, like that little cord from the official box that they make for these guys and the helmets. Though it doesn't really matter if you don't care. The only real difference between that is then how I primed these guys. Another Japanese soldier down for the motherland. Oh, did he drop his gun? Okay, so I guess that's another gripe I'll give here. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so there's one actually gripe I will give at the end here. I just remembered it, and I've just dealt with it trying to do this video. But let's wrap it up here with these guys by looking at this dude here. And this is kind of like this is what they look like primed. This is me trying out Vallejo primers, and their newer ones seem to be working fine. So how you tell the difference between a the different uniforms is the SNLF used more of like a olive green, like the American Marines green for painting, whereas the IGA used more of a uses more of a 3, 2, 1. The IGA uses more of a khaki, like Canadian sort of uniform, tan yellow uniform. If you paint desert Italians, you basically can use it for these guys. And then, but with that, we'll get to our last part of the video here, and we'll wrap it up in the end. So starting here, coming to the end, we have our second tank I built this in a video. It's primed again in that same sort of green color to represent the Navy. Then I have my 3D printed here machine gun team, which I've used some green stuff to add like grass and stuff to their helmet. Then we have some more rifle dudes from that same sort of unit I printed off, which I'm going to use as snipers. And then we have a dude that that's supposed to be their NCO. Here's the metal guy that we're using as a artillery observer, or for the observer for the howitzer that we have here, which was 3D printed. The dude who made this, if I find his listings, I will post it, but it's really nice models. Like, again, the only real thing they need is they just need to be scaled slightly more from how they default into your printing program. So the only complaint I have going into this end of here is that the models, the plastic doesn't want to hold plastic glue, and some of their hands are either too small for what they're supposed to be, or not molded right, or too large. But again, I don't know if this was just my layout, but this happened for both the SNLF boxes and the IGA boxes. So like, as you can see here, this guy's just like just doing this review, this guy's LMG fell off. There's a bunch of the little pouches and bags that have fallen off inside of my tray. Like, bruh. And like, the arm just broke off from the tripod. Like, what the hell? So I think that's my only issue with this line of the Japanese. But with that, guys, I am actually going to go now. Thank you for watching this video. We'll have more bolt action reviews and suggestions and, you know, infantry information and how to run them and stuff in the future. We will see you guys next time.
Click the video. Click it. Click the video. You know you want to. Click it.